Amigos y enemigos de YouTube, estamos hoy en directo, en vivo, un día más, para contaros algo que probablemente ya sepáis, pero que de igual manera os dejará sin palabras. Una noticia de ayer o de antes de ayer que nos llega de diferentes vías, de diferentes maneras, por diferentes lugares. El INE, el Instituto Nacional de Estadística, un organismo estatal, un organismo oficial, español, nacional, ya lo he dicho, prevé rastrear nuestros dispositivos de forma, dicen, totalmente anónima, simplemente contabilizando el número de conexiones a las antenas de telefonía a las que nos vayamos conectando durante 8 días. Estos días están divididos en varias jornadas, que en este caso son 4 laborables del 18 al 21 de noviembre, un domingo el 24 de noviembre, un festivo en el que seguro que no saldremos sin el móvil de casa, el 25 de diciembre, y 2 días de verano, el 20 de julio y el 15 de agosto, que también es festivo. Y la pregunta y la duda de muchos y el apabullamiento de la mente de muchos es: ¿hasta dónde van a investigar? ¿Hasta dónde van a seguirnos y hasta dónde no? Vodafone y Orange ya ha puesto a su disposición para los clientes 2 opciones para que puedan salirse de esa estadística. Orange un correo electrónico y Vodafone a través de la propia aplicación de la app. Pero Telefónica, y hay aquí la controversia, la disyuntiva, el reconcome, se ha negado. Yo ahora mismo pertenezco a O2 y he hecho esa consulta y me han dicho que no me preocupe, que no pasa nada, que todo es anónimo, que no hay ningún tipo de riesgo, que no hay ningún tipo de problema, que no me preocupe y que todo se va a tratar de forma anónima y que no van a vigilarme a mí particularmente. No, por supuesto que no. Solo faltó decir que ya nos estaban vigilando. Y bueno, leyendo un poco, investigando un poco acerca de esto, se puede resumir de una forma muy sencilla, muy taxativa, en que básicamente van a triangular la posición de los dispositivos. ¿Cómo se triangula? Pues con 3 antenas y calculando la distancia, ¿no? Pues de los 3 puntos se hace una cruz y se calcula la distancia. De esta forma, el Instituto Nacional de Estadística sacará pues, el uso de las antenas, que digo yo, qué interés habrá ahora justamente en saber qué uso se hace de las antenas y cuántos usos se hace de las antenas. Pero bueno, ahí lo han dejado y ahí lo van a hacer. Como yo, quizás, aunque tengo mi background de informático, administrador de sistemas, no sea tan bueno explicando todo esto, ya un mes atrás, creo, si no me equivoco, alguien llama a tu puerta, Coco. Pues lo explicó muy bien, lo dejó todo muy claro y os voy a dejar con ese vídeo para que podáis verlo en riguroso inglés, pero con subtítulos, y podáis tener un conocimiento mayor de lo que hacen realmente con los datos. O sea, ya no de lo que van a hacer, lo que va a hacer el Instituto Nacional de Estadística, sino de lo que se está haciendo a día de hoy y se hace todos los días y los gobiernos hacen todos los días. Ese seguimiento que nos hacen constantemente. Así que, sin más dilación y en riguroso directo, como siempre, os voy a poner este vídeo y os dejo con él.
Are you aware at all of the current state of surveillance and what, if anything, has changed since your revelations?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing that's changed since I was in 2013 is now it's mobile first everything. mobile was still a big deal, right? And the intelligence community was very much grappling to get its hands around it and to deal with it. But now people are much less likely to use a laptop than use a desktop than use, any kind of wired phone than they are to use a smartphone. And both Apple and Android devices, unfortunately, are not especially good in protecting your privacy. Think right now. You got a smartphone, right? You might be listening to this on a train somewhere in traffic right now. Or you, Joe, right now. You got a phone somewhere in the room, right? The phone is turned off, or at least the screen is turned off. It's sitting there. It's powered on. And if somebody sends you a message, the screen blinks to life. How does that happen? Right? How is it that if someone from any corner of the earth dials a number, your phone rings and nobody else's rings? How is it that you can dial anybody else's number and only their phone rings, right? Every smartphone, every phone at all, is constantly connected to the nearest cellular tower. Every phone, even when the screen is off, you think it's doing nothing, you can't see it because radio frequency emissions are invisible. It's screaming in the air, saying, here I am, here I am. Here is my IMEI, I think it's individual manufacturer's equipment identity, and IMEI, individual manufacturer's subscriber identity. I could be wrong on the breakout there, but the acronyms are the IMEI and the IMSI, and you can search for these things. They're two globally unique identifiers that only exist anywhere in the world in one place, right? This makes your phone different than all the other phones. The IMEI is burned into the handset of your phone. No matter what SIM card you change to, it's always going to be the same, and it's always going to be telling the phone network it's this physical handset. And the IMESI is in your SIM card, right? And this is what holds your phone number, right? It's basically the key, the right to use that phone number. And so your phone is sitting there doing nothing, you think, but it's constantly shouting and saying, I'm here. Who is closest to me? That's a cell phone tower. And every cell phone tower with its big ears is listening for these little cries for help and going, all right, I see Joe Rogan's phone, right? I see Jamie's phone. I see all these phones that are here right now. And it compares notes with the other network towers, and your smartphone compares notes with them to go, who do I hear the loudest? And who you hear the loudest is a proxy for proximity, for closeness, distance, right? They go, whoever I hear more loudly than anybody else, that's close to me. So you're going to be bound to this cell phone tower, and that cell phone tower is going to make a note, a permanent record, saying this phone handset with this phone number at this time was connected to me, right? And based on your phone handset and your phone number, they can get your identity, right? Because you pay for this stuff with your credit card and everything like that. And even if you don't, right, it's still active at your house overnight. It's still active, on your nightstand when you're sleeping. It's still whatever. The movements of your phone are the movements of you as a person, and those are often quite uniquely identifying. It goes to your home. It goes to your workplace. Other people don't have it. Sorry. And anyway, it's constantly shouting this out, and then it compares notes with the other parts of the network. And when somebody is trying to get to a phone, it compares notes, the network compares notes to go, where is this phone with this phone number in the world right now? And to that cell phone tower that is closest to that phone, it sends out a signal saying, we have a call for you. Make your phone start ringing so your owner can answer it. And then it connects it across this whole path. But what this means is that whenever you're carrying a phone, whenever the phone is turned on, there's a record of your presence at that place that is being made and created by companies. It does not need to be kept forever, and in fact, there's no good argument for it to be kept forever, but these companies see that as valuable information, right? This is the whole big data problem that we're running into, and all this information that used to be ephemeral, right? Where were you when you were 8 years old, Where'd you go after you had a bad breakup? Who'd you spend the night with? Who'd you call after? All this information used to be ephemeral. meaning it disappeared, right? Like the morning dew, it would be gone. No one would remember it. But now these things are stored. Now these things are saved. It doesn't matter whether you're doing anything wrong. It doesn't matter whether you're the most ordinary person on Earth, because that's how bulk collection, which is the government's euphemism for mass surveillance, works. They simply collect it all in advance in hopes that one day it will become useful. And that was just talking about how you connect to the phone network. That's not talking about all those apps on your phone that are contacting the network even more frequently, right? How do you get a text message notification? How do you get an email notification? How is it the Facebook knows where you're at? You know, all of these things, these analytics, they are trying to keep track through location services on your phone, through GPS, through even just what wireless access points you're connected to, because there's a global, constantly updated map. There's actually many of them of wireless access points in the world, because just like we talked about, every phone has a unique identifier that's globally unique. Every wireless access point in the world, right? Your cable modem at home, whether it's in your laptop, every device that has a radio modem has a globally unique identifier in it. This is a standard term. You can look it up. And these things can be mapped when they're broadcasting in the air, because again, like your phone says to the cell phone tower, I have this identifier. The cell phone tower responds and says, I have this identifier. And anybody who's listening, they can write these things down. And all those Google Street View cars that go back and forth, right? They're keeping notes on whose Wi-Fi is active on this block, right? And then they build it into a giant map. So even if you have GPS turned off, right? As long as you're connected to Wi-Fi, those apps can go, well, I'm connected to Joe's Wi-Fi, but I can also see his neighbor's Wi-Fi here, and the other one in this apartment over here, and the other one in the apartment here. And you should only be able to hear those 4 globally unique Wi-Fi access points from these points in physical space, right? The intersection in between the spreads, the domes, of all those wireless access points. And it's a proxy for location. And it just goes on and on and on. We could talk about this for 4 more hours. We don't have that kind of time.
Can I ask you this? Is there a way to mitigate any of this personally? I mean, shutting your phone off doesn't even work, right?
Well, so it does in a way. It's yes and no. The thing with shutting your phone off that is a risk is, how do you know your phone's actually turned off? It used to be when I was in Geneva, for example, working for the CIA. We would all carry like drug dealer phones. The old smartphones, old dumb phones. They're not smartphones. And the reason why was just because they had removable backs where you could take the battery out, right? And the one beautiful thing about technology is if there's no electricity in it, right? If there's no go juice available to it, if there's no battery connected to it, it's not sending anything, because you have to get power from somewhere. You have to have power in order to do work. But now your phones are all sealed, right? You can't take the batteries out. So there are potential ways that you can hack a phone where it appears to be off, but it's not actually off. It's just pretending to be off, whereas in fact it's still listening in and doing all this stuff. But for the average person, that doesn't apply, right? And I got to tell you guys, they've been chasing me all over the place. I don't worry about that stuff, right? And it's because if they're applying that level of effort to me, they'll probably get the same information through other routes. I am as careful as I can, and I use things like Faraday cages. I turn devices off. But if they're actually manipulating the way devices display, it's just too great a level of effort, even for someone like me, to keep that up on a constant basis. Also, if they get me, I only trust phones so much. So there's only so much they can derive from the compromise. And this is how operational security works. You think about, what are the realistic threats that you're facing, that you're trying to mitigate? And the mitigation that you're trying to do is, what would be the loss? What would be the damage done to you if this stuff was exploited? Much more realistic than worrying about these things that I call voodoo hacks, right? Which are like next level stuff. And actually, just a shout out for those of your readers who are interested in this stuff. I wrote a paper on this specific problem. How do you know when a phone is actually off? How do you know when it's actually not spying on you? With a brilliant guy named Andrew Bunny Huang. He's an MIT PhD in, I think, electrical engineering, called the introspection engine that was published in the Journal of Open Engineering. You can find it online. And it'll go as deep down in the weeds, I promise you, as you want. We take an iPhone 6, this was back when it was fairly new, and we modified it so we could actually not trust the device to report its own state, but physically monitor its state to see if it was spying on you. But for average people, right, this is academic. That's not your primary threat. Your primary threats are these bulk collection programs. Your primary threat is the fact that your phone is constantly squawking to these cell phone towers. It's doing all of these things because we leave our phones in a state that is constantly on. You're constantly connected, right? Airplane mode doesn't even turn off Wi-Fi really anymore. It just turns off the cellular modem. But the whole idea is we need to identify the problem. And the central problem with smartphone use today is you have no idea what the hell it's doing at any given time. Like, the phone has the screen off. You don't know what it's connected to. You don't know how frequently it's doing it. Apple and iOS, unfortunately, makes it impossible to see what kind of network connections are constantly made on the device and to intermediate them, going, I don't want Facebook to be able to talk right now. You know, I don't want Google to be able to talk right now. I just want my secure messenger app to be able to talk. I just want my weather app to be able to talk. But I just checked my weather, and now I'm done with it, so I don't want that to be able to talk anymore. And we need to be able to make these intelligent decisions on not just an app-by-app basis, but a connection-by-connection basis, right? You want, let's say you use Facebook, because, you know, for whatever judgment we have, a lot of people might do it. You want it to be able to connect to Facebook's content servers. You want to be able to message a friend. You want to be able to download a photograph or whatever, but you don't want it to be able to talk to an ad server. You don't want it to talk to an analytics server that's monitoring your behavior, right? You don't want it to talk to all these third-party things because Facebook crams their garbage into almost every app that you download, and you don't even know it's happening because you can't see it, right? And this is the problem with the data collection use today, is there is an industry that is built on keeping this invisible. And what we need to do is we need to make the activities of our devices, whether it's a phone, whether it's a computer, whatever, more visible and understandable to the average person, and then give them control over it. So, like, if you could see your phone right now, and at the very center of it is a little green icon that's your, you know, handset, or it's a picture of your face, whatever, and then you see all these little spokes coming off of it. That's every app that your phone is talking to right now, or every app that is active on your phone right now, and all of the hosts that it's connecting to. And you can see right now, once every 3 seconds, your phone is checking into Facebook, and you could just poke that app, and then boom, it's not talking to Facebook anymore. Facebook's not allowed. Facebook's speaking privileges have been revoked, right? You would do that. We would all do that. If there was a button on your phone that said, do what I want, but not spy on me, you would press that button, right? That button does not exist right now. And both Google and Apple, unfortunately, Apple's a lot better at this than Google, but neither of them allow that button to exist. In fact, they actively interfere with it because they say it's a security risk. And from a particular perspective, they actually aren't wrong there. But it's not enough to go, you know, we have to lock that capability off from people because we don't trust they would make the right decisions. We think it's too complicated for people to do this. We think there's too many connections being made. Well, that is actually a confession of the problem right there. If you think people can't understand it, if you think there are too many communications happening, if you think there's too much complexity in there, it needs to be simplified. Just like the president can't control everything like that, if you have to be the president of the phone and the phone is as complex as the United States government, we have a problem, guys. This should be a much more simple process. It should be obvious. And the fact that it's not, and the fact that we read story after story, year after year, saying all your data has been breached here, this company's spying on you here, this company's manipulating your purchases or your search results, or they're hiding these things from your timeline, or they're influencing you or manipulating you in all of these different ways, that happens as a result of a single problem. And that problem is an inequality of available information. They can see everything about you. They can see everything about what your device is doing, and they can do whatever they want with your device. You, on the other hand, owned the device. Well, rather, you paid for the device. But increasingly, these corporations own it. Increasingly, these governments own it. And increasingly, we are living in a world where we do all the work, right? We pay all the taxes. We pay all the costs. But we own less and less. And nobody understands this better than the youngest generation.
Well, it seems like our data became a commodity before we understood what it was. It became this thing that's insanely valuable to Google and Facebook and all these social media platforms. Before we understood what we were giving up, they were making billions of dollars. And then once that money is being earned and once everyone's accustomed to the situation, it's very difficult to pull the reins back.
Bueno, creo que se ha cortado el stream. No sé si actualmente estáis viendo algo. Pero estoy viendo el monitor de actividad del stream y pone stream unavailable suspendido por política, por violación de política. Me parece muy extraño, sinceramente, que de una forma tan rápida nos haya, si por un casual, el creador, hemos vuelto a la imagen, el creador de derechos nos haya bloqueado. Bueno, de cualquier forma, creo que ha quedado clara la síntesis de todo esto, y del problema que se aborda con la privacidad y los móviles. Los móviles son dispositivos que, aunque estén apagados, en este caso lo aplicaba Edward Snowden, siguen enviando información y siguen triangulando. No solamente a raíz de esta polémica con el INE, esto ocurre todos los días. Los móviles más fiables, aquellos que se pueden quitar la batería. Nokia presentó hace muy poquito un remake de los móviles de antaño, de los antiguos móviles, de los dispositivos clásicos de Nokia, pero adaptados a los tiempos modernos, que quizás estén un poco en esa línea de teléfonos más sencillos, más simples y quizás con un poco menos o con un poco más de seguridad para nosotros, de más privacidad. Por lo menos la batería se puede extraer. Bueno, como os decía y como os explicaba en el momento del inicio de este vídeo, recordad, luego ya veremos qué hacemos cada uno. Al final el móvil está ligado a nuestras vidas, que esto comienza en noviembre, que los días elegidos para realizar el seguimiento son del 18 al 21 de noviembre, posteriormente el 24 de noviembre, 25 de diciembre y ya el año que viene el 20 y el 15 de agosto. Los tenéis en la descripción del vídeo. Espero que cuando se grabe este vídeo, cuando se quede consolidado, no se haya cortado mucho de la explicación de Edward Snowden. De cualquier forma, sabéis que tenéis el vídeo aquí abajo, el original, el link, y que podéis verlo tranquilamente pues a vuestro rollo. Sin más, me despido. No era mucho más la intención, era comentar esta noticia, este análisis veraz que nos va a hacer el INE. O sea, está lo que hacen y no nos cuentan todos los días, que es analizar nuestros datos estadísticos de Twitter, de Instagram, de Facebook, de todo lo que hacemos, de lo que vemos, de lo que no vemos. Y de hecho haré otro vídeo, haré otro directo explicando cómo usar Brave, que es un navegador que ya os contaré, funciona muy bien y por lo menos salvaguarda un poquito más nuestra privacidad, que parece que no, parece que es una gilipollez. Nos han vendido, nos han intentado engañar con que no tenemos nada que ocultar y que más da que cedamos nuestra información, pero creo que cada vez debemos de negarnos más a ceder datos, sobre todo en esta sociedad de información en la que vivimos. Y nada, simplemente comentaros esta noticia que me ha parecido muy importante, como algo ya descarado. Vamos a analizar durante una serie de días, queráis o no queráis. No os preocupéis porque es una información anónima. Y poquito más, deciros que estamos aquí como siempre, que este es vuestro canal, vuestra casa, que estamos totalmente abrumados por la captación y el crecimiento que llevamos teniendo, que espero vuestros comentarios, que espero que nos sigáis en las vías de contacto y nos escribáis y nos mandéis vuestras sugerencias, y que os espero sin dudarlo, en el próximo vídeo, que nadie sabe cuándo será. Es un misterio.